I'm Kat Ing. I'm the California production lead for CANiVISION. And I'm sitting here. I'm not sitting here, but I am with Mr. Buck Angel, who is all kinds of things, right? I can say trans. You are creator of Buckshot. What else? How else should I describe you?
That's probably good enough. I mean, I do so many things now, I don't even know who I am.
I don't know if you remember, but we did meet at a birthday party for Selene Luna. Yeah. And you
Right.
told me, I think that's when you'd mentioned Buckshot to me.
Yeah.
I was super excited to hear about it. So I did refer you to the organization I was working with at the time, and then they did a podcast. So I have to say, I actually did listen to it. Well, let's go backwards a little bit.
Okay.
How are you doing from yesterday?
Oh my God. I mean, really? Really? Are we actually? I thought Biden was going to win by a landslide. Now, I mean, you might not have voted for Biden or whatever. I'm not particularly care about him. I don't think he's a great candidate, but he's the lesser of two evils, is exactly how I feel. So that being said, I cannot believe we're like literally in a race right now, 50-50. That blows my mind.
You know, what's funny, I went to my mom's yesterday. She lives in the suburbs.
Hmm.
Completely different vibe because
Hmm.
I'm here in West Hollywood. I
Me too.
Every other store is boarded up. It's a
Yep.
trip. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Same here. I live literally on like Sunset and Fairfax. So we live very close to each other, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm on the other side for my side is Los Angeles, your side is West Hollywood. Everything here on Sunset is boarded up. Everything. Because
It's
yeah,
so interesting to see how that plays on your psyche because I realize again, I knew when I went to my mom's it would be a different vibe.
yeah,
The second I left the freeway, Sprouts was boarding up again. And it was like,
yeah.
wow, you know? Yeah, I've been hoarding food like crazy. But
I'm a hoarder too.
I have to tell you, Buck, I think I've gone to like 7 grocery stores in the last 3 days. And I had to tell myself, okay, you have like 4 loaves of bread in the freezer at the back.
Just in
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, and what's funny is I actually went out and got a ton of cannabis too, and for some reason that doesn't seem like it's been depleted, and I know I'm smoking as much, so I'm not sure why. And let me ask you, you are not a user of cannabis, is that true?
No, I am actually a big user of cannabis. What I am is sober from drugs and alcohol. And what I mean by that is that I'm 30 years free of using anything like crack, cocaine, and all that kind of stuff. I don't think of cannabis. I'm in the business and being also a sober. I don't even like to call myself sober anymore. It's been 30 plus years that I got off of cocaine and crack and all the other nonsense and, drinking alcohol like a maniac. And now I'm just, I'm pretty much a person who I don't consider myself sober. I just consider myself well, if that makes sense.
I
Like I
love
really found my space. Yeah.
and actually that would be something for a later conversation because
Mhm.
I really do think I know quite a few people who don't use harder things or part of super community or whatever
Uh-huh.
labels there are,
Yeah.
and they use cannabis, and I've actually tried to promote that with a few other people. I know it's a very sensitive topic,
Yeah.
but and I guess I'd ask you why, I guess, how was your thinking evolved in that way? Because a lot of people don't accept it.
No, and I have to fight against the sober community constantly. But I'm that guy. If anybody out there doesn't know me, I'm the guy who always, I sort of always seem to have an opposite opinion. And I don't know why. I'm not the guy who toes the party line. And I don't toe the party line in all my communities, in my transgender community, LGBT. I don't. I have opposite opinions about certain things. That being said, same with sobriety. I think sobriety is an individual space. It is not, we all need to do this thing because what works for me will not work for you. And so we need to actually have more compassion for people who get well. And that's the one thing that I don't understand about AA. And that I'm going to tell you before I move on, AA saved my life. No doubt in any way, shape, or form that AA had a big part in me being here alive today. But that said, I think programs who keep you trapped in this thought process that you can't go back out and live your life in the world is dangerous, because I always thought I could never drink a beer. I drink a beer every once in a while and I'm not all crazy. Do you know what I mean? Or I use cannabis daily and I have never used any other drugs or anything like that. So for me, it's important to spread this message that you can, in a sense, get better and you can, in a sense, cure yourself, because you need to figure out what the problem is. And that's with anything in your life. Once you figure out the problem, you can literally move forward and become an awesome person in the world.
I love it because I actually have been having this conversation or debate with people in the community
Mhm.
because I always say when people say, "Oh, all use is medicinal use."
Yes.
You know what? Straight up, I consider myself a stoner and I use it because I like it. If there is medicinal benefit, I'm thrilled, but that's not the reason. And I do feel like it's important for me to state that because that's good enough reason, just because I want to. And I feel like, yeah. And I feel like that's an important part of the conversation. I don't negate any of the rest of it. I think it's really important
Right.
to talk about. But I also do stand very firm in my, hey, all of the benefit I'm thrilled about, but I really just like cannabis. And learning about this lets me know that my endocannabinoid system did really well.
That's
Yeah.
right. And like, I'm not going to be shamed by anybody. I mean, literally, I changed from a woman to a man. I literally had a sex change. That being said, you can't tell me how to live my life. And you can't tell me I'm not sober or I'm not this. That's other people's baggage. You know, they always put that on people like us who have found our space. And I think really it comes down to people not trusting themselves enough to find their space in the world. So when they see people like me and you just say, hey, I'm a stoner, I enjoy it, and it's not wrecking my life. I think on some level, people have envy around that. And so when envy comes, people react to certain things. And in AA, there's a lot of envy towards people who literally got in the program, used it, and got out, because people tend to hang on to things for fear of leaving it, that they might slip, right? So there's these little trigger words that AA does to you. They do like slipping, and that you can't have friends that are users, and you can't, and that to me is very cult behavior and not a way to actually, do you want the person to get better, right? Do you want the little bird with broken wings to get fixed and you can make it go fly again? Or why do you want to keep everybody in AA for 20 and 30 years?
I think some of that is the subtlety of conversation.
Mhm.
I think that when you really do deeper dives with people, like we're doing now, you can have that conversation. But
Mhm.
on a bumper sticker or a 10-second conversation, it's the absolutes, right? That end up
That's
kind
right.
of, yeah, winning,
There's
winning.
no absolute in anything, and I don't care what anybody said, there just is not. And so I have lived my life on so many different levels. I have constantly working on myself and constantly trying to figure out how to be a better person. And that's really being truthful to your own self, right? Like really going, okay, I'm an asshole. I did this certain thing and I shouldn't do that. And I got to fix that part of me. But that's really a part of, I think, how I became so comfortable in my body, and how I'm so comfortable telling everybody, even my parents, that I use cannabis, right? And they're like, oh, and you're going to use alcohol and you're going to become a drug addict again. I go, Mom, I've been using it for 5 years. So
What's there?
trusting yourself.
Yeah, Buck, I mean, I had to become like a complete middle-aged adult before I could go to my mom and say, hey, you want to try this? And she's like, are you using it? I'm like, yeah. She's like, and I was like, Mom, really, it's not,
It's
this
the
is not
best.
20th century information anymore. It's
Yeah, right.
21st. Yeah, that's pretty funny. And I really do love that you equate it with your transitioning as well, because the whole idea that you are making definitions for yourself is fantastic, because you spread that into the world and then other people realize it's okay for them to be themselves also.
That's right, my friend. And that's exactly why I speak out about cannabis as a sober person. Because honestly, I'm tired of people saying cannabis is people don't even know cannabis is not for everybody, just like alcohol isn't for everybody, just like whatever isn't for everybody. That being said, it changed my life. It makes me sleep better. I'm focused in the morning. I was on sleeping pills, which is drugs, and I couldn't focus in the morning. I have horrible insomnia. I'm just like a maniac kind of person. So I have to calm myself down at night. And I don't want to drink a bottle of whiskey. I'd rather smoke a joint and go to sleep, because I wake up in the morning like, yeah, if you drink whiskey, you're like,
Well, listen, I've had a few pot hangovers, so,
oh, I've never had a pot ever,
really,
ever. Yeah, and I smoke a lot of weed, which is weird. I don't know if my body just likes it. I don't know.
that is interesting. So now, how did you develop Buckshot? Well, let's talk about what
Yeah.
Buckshot. You have a bottle of it to
Yeah,
show?
I do in my office. So I'm going to take you through my house right now,
Yeah, go get
because
it.
I'm yeah. So I want to get it for you. Because okay, so as you know or may not know, I started in the adult entertainment industry like
Yeah.
20 years ago, right? And I created the genre of trans male pornography, and then from that I got into creating products in. I make sex toys for transgender men, right? So you're seeing my colorful house, and then I realized like I'm just about products, because after a while you can't just be an 80-year-old porn star, right? So, and I don't want to be an 80-year-old porn star, to be honest with you. So I decided I got to create products, right? Because products last forever. And, I'm very much into, so here's the box. I'll show you the box really quick. So it comes in like these gigantic.
Let's tell people, I mean,
So,
yeah.
so I realized sex is a huge part of my life. First off, I believe in sex, and it helps me become a better person in myself once I really acknowledge that. Okay, everyone in this house is doing internet right now. So that being said, I decided to create a product called the Buckshot, which is an all natural. I'll show you over here better lighting. All natural erection drink. Let me sit down.
Yeah, but
Plus
women drink
CBD.
it, right? Women, I
Yeah,
don't care.
yeah, totally. Everybody can use this. I mean, it's really geared towards people who have a penis, like men and trans women. But that being said, anybody can use it. I give it to straight couples all the time, and I tell them to split it. And they come back to me, they're like, Buck, we had the best time ever. Because it's natural, so it's not chemical, and it doesn't keep you hard for like 87 hours. It's like literally 4 hours, and you're having a good time. And it has CBD. This is the very first sort of sexual erection product with CBD in the whole cannabis market. So yeah, that took it to another level.
You're manufacturing here, clearly.
Yep.
And so you cannot sell interstate at this point.
Nope, totally can't. Even though I made it hemp CBD, what's also the problem is selling it on the internet. So there's problems with certain types of processors, which are most won't process anything cannabis or CBD. There's only very specific companies that will do it. And I think because I'm attached to sex, a lot of companies say no to using their processor. Just so people out there know, sex workers are always discriminated against constantly in every form of every kind of business. If you're in the sex business, you are discriminated against.
Well, I live in West Hollywood. There's commissions about that. So yeah, I am aware.
That's right. It sucks.
Yeah.
You know that, remember when they were giving out a small business loan for COVID to all businesses. They even sent it to me. I also work in the sex business besides the cannabis business. It actually has a disclaimer there when it says, I'm going to cut it out and send it to you because you're going to blow your mind. It literally says that I don't know the exact words, but basically if you work in any kind of sex business, you are not entitled to apply for this loan. I'm like, wait a minute, I pay taxes.
And for it specifically to have been called out is very strange because there certainly are many businesses and industries that we could list right alongside it with it.
They literally list sex workers. Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does it affect you just being in the state? Are you selling on your site or are you selling in stores?
So right now I sell to stores because I can't sell online, but now I'm making another one without CBD because it works just as good without, so I can sell it online right now. So I'll have a CBD one and a non-CBD one because not everybody wants to use CBD. People are still very scared of it. They think it's cannabis. And so the good thing is I can educate around it. They're doing a lot of studies with CBD and erectile dysfunction because it's a vasodilator, CBD. So it really works well with this drink. And it literally, I cannot keep it in stock. I got to get you some so you can tell me how you
try it.
Yeah, I'm going to get you some for sure.
And how did you come up with the formula yourself?
So I have a friend who works in the business, right? Because I already work in the sex business. He already creates all these products. So I met him at a conference and I said, dude, I have the best idea. And he goes, dude, that's the most awesome idea.
Did you already know that it had those properties and it would work?
So I already knew about he already created this product. So what I said is I want that particular product. I want to rebrand it with my brand, which I created the Buckshot brand and called it the Boner Drink. And then I said, just add a little CBD. So we came up with the understanding how to add the CBD and how much to put in each particular, how much it would be and blah, 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 blah. He figured it all out. And that's how I came up with it. I just partnered with a person who already had the natural erection drink because I wanted to create a natural product because again, I'm not really into chemical or pharmaceutical products.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that's actually one of my concerns as the industry legalizes. So what do you think, what does that mean for you? If can you see like a big pharma coming in and stealing your idea? And
100%.
Yeah.
That's why I trademarked it. Someone had already stole it. In the adult business, someone actually stole it, literally called it the Buckshot, literally basically stole. I was like, what, dude? And they're like, oh, they go to me, oh, I saw him at a conference and all these people came up to me. They stole your drink. I go, what? And I go over to the booth and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, dude. Like, I already have that. You're literally copying and they're like, oh, we didn't know. I go, really? It's not like I'm nobody in the adult entertainment. Everybody knows I have this drink. And then I had to do a whole lawsuit with them and have them like totally, cost me a lot of money, but I figured it was really worth it because I knew if immediately out the gate somebody stole it, that means a lot of people are going to
Good
try.
idea.
Thank
It's
you.
a good idea.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, right
Yeah.
on.
Stop them.
Yeah, it stopped them. They couldn't sell it anymore, and that was it. But it cost me a little kind of cash, but I think it was really worth it, totally. But it did. They had to take it off the market.
And it's interesting because I know that there's a lot of emphasis on senior wellness and CBD at the time. Yeah. So are you going in and doing any sort of talks there or kind of courting that community or educating that community?
Yeah, so that's really the next step for me, and especially in the LGBT. So really, my company Pride Wellness really focuses on the LGBT part of the community. I mean, I'm sorry, the seniors of the LGBT community, because we have a lot of seniors that just get left out of. I mean, I'm sort of a senior now in the LGBT. I'm 58, and so really, I'm an elder, and so elders always get pushed to the side, and then they don't get to be a part of. So really, teaching elders about cannabis as a health and wellness product has been a dream of mine because I believe they're on way too many pharmaceuticals. And so my parents live in Palm Springs, so I visit there a lot, and I'm really connecting with the elders, LGBT community there, and really, and this stuff sells like mad in Palm Springs.
So I actually think that the cannabis space is maybe the most welcoming in terms of age range because I see older and younger, and I hate that it's classified as old, but I do see a wide range of age, and it's very accepted, which is something I really appreciate about this space.
Exactly. Like I hang out with so many youngsters and I get stoned with them and I have the best time. If it was an LGBT space, there would be so much drama. There would be everyone over here, everyone over here. And I'm like, I'm over that nonsense. Like we all just need to start learning that we have different opinions, different ideas. This is a really big part of why I'm a big cannabis activist, because I believe that it really opens up people every time I go to cannabis parties, and it's every walk of life. There's not just these people or those people. There's so many different types of people, and everyone literally gets along with each other because there's no alcohol in the space.
Well, actually, I think the election really showed that, right? I mean, you look
Yeah.
at the results, and all 5 of the states that had marijuana legislation or cannabis legislation
Yeah.
passed, and there was no question that it wouldn't,
That's
right?
right.
So, well, we're all sitting here thinking, well, who's going to be president? But all the cannabis stuff just went, and it wasn't a surprise. I appreciated
That's
it.
right.
Very modern, a very 21st
Well, it
century.
comes from fiscal. I mean, people are stupid if they don't vote. I mean, I don't care if you like cannabis or not. This is what I tell my parents all the time and how I change their mind around it. I said, you don't have to ever use cannabis, Dad, but my parents are totally all about money, right? They're just all about making money, better money, And so that being said, I said, Dad, you have to look at cannabis as a business, and as a business, it'll change this state in 2 seconds. The amount of money from tax revenue and across this country, it'll change. It'll give jobs to states that have no more jobs, like Kentucky, where they're just not doing mining. We could actually plant hemp and create jobs in cannabis. And my dad's all, oh, I never really thought about that. I'm like, it's the future of the wellness of our country, not only creating jobs, businesses, it'll literally change. That's why that all passed, because I think the conservative people are seeing money involved in it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the pandemic actually will speed it up. And what happens next, actually, that becomes a whole other issue about how it rolls out and what the legislation means.
That's right.
I think once it's federal, one of the great things is that ideally there can be interstate commerce because, if you're in North Dakota, are you growing outdoors? I don't think.
Right. That's
Yeah, and
exactly right.
maybe California is the perfect place. I can say, like wine or grapes. I'm sure that will start being, the commerce of our state. I think it'll be really healthy.
Oh my God, it's going to change so much here. I mean, we have a lot of problems in California. Everyone thinks California is wow, wow, wow. No, it isn't. And also, people don't understand. I'm a small ass cannabis company. I'm like me and my partner. That's it. And we broke open our piggy banks and like started our company 5 years ago. We're literally hanging on. I'm not kidding, because all the big players are coming in now, right? All the major corporations, people are dumping billions into this business. So I will eventually be bought up from a corporation. And that is actually my intention, because I already saw it. And I'm not going to pretend like it's not happening. So I said to myself, well, let me make my business plan so that I eventually get bought off by the corp, but they won't be able to get rid of me because they're going to need me for the brand, right? Because I built the brand Pride Wellness with me involved. So that they can buy it from me, but they can't necessarily take it from me. I need to be connected to it in order for
Your name's on the label.
That's right. That's exactly right. I'm going to make sure they can't get rid of me.
So what do you see as the future for the company? I mean, what are your next steps?
So right now, really, Pride Wellness has become a brand as opposed to a cannabis company. And what I mean by that is that I made it so that it's not necessarily that we just create products, but that we also are a wellness sort of information hub for my community. And so by being branded, that enables me to not necessarily always have to make product, but just like, oh, there's Pride Wellness at a space, and that's where Buck's going to be. And so for me, the future of the company is to still create voice around the LGBT community and cannabis, and why it's important for the LGBT community. Not only that, but the LGBT community was in the forefront of legalizing cannabis, and people don't even know. 30 years ago, a drug called Marinol, right? Marinol was created for all of that. And then people just don't know that story. And it was because of HIV and AIDS. And I lost all my friends to that. You know, I'm 58 again, and I lost almost all my friends to AIDS. So I think it's important that we continue to keep that message within the LGBT community, because as being on the forefront of it.
Absolutely. I forgot about Marinol, man.
Yeah, Marinol. I used to take it.
Really?
Yeah, because all my
I mean,
friends had AIDS and they all had it. And I'm like, give me some of that.
does it still exist?
Yeah, you can it's an actual real pharmaceutical drug that they use for, well, they made it for HIV people, because, you know, to help them eat and that kind of stuff. But then it eventually became a cancer medication. So they started, because the same kind of thing happens when you get cancer. You lose a lot of weight, you have no appetite, you know, all these things. And cannabis can give you that appetite and also make you feel better. So now they use it for cancer patients as well as HIV. It's still there.
Well, I really appreciate hearing all of this. We'll make sure that we put your message out, and I'm sure there's between us. We actually at CANiVISION CA are going to be doing a wellness regular series, and Michelle Ching, hi Michelle, if you're watching, is our host. She actually works also with the Knox doctors, and they're really big. And she has a CBD product also, so she was super interested when I mentioned this. And yeah, I'll put the two of you in touch, because I think there's some senior wellness teachings that they're doing.
Yeah, I would love to be connected. Thank you.
In a second, but I want to stay on with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you soon.